That is the hardest part of that ring.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
For the hardest part of the ring.
Hello, everybody, and welcome
The hardest part of the ring.
Hello and welcome to episode 127 of Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where four friends get together to celebrate the wonder of professional wrestling. My name is Adam and I'm joined today on camera for the first ever time, not for you listeners, I'm afraid, by Sam.
Heyo.
By John.
Hello.
And by Brett.
Hello.
Yeah, it's true. All these years we've been recording over Skype. We've never kept our cameras on, but today we're risking it.
We're so paranoid of losing all of our hard work.
Yeah. We fear that the extra bandwidth will glitch everything out and we'll lose an episode. That's probably going to happen now.
I actually sometimes get lost in John's eyes as well. So
I do have very blue eyes.
It's quite distracting. Brett's gone for the backlit look, so he just looks like a silhouette. It looks like an episode of Crime Watch.
My light's behind, I'm afraid. I'm anonymous.
John, do you want to set
could
the
be
scene?
anonymous, actually.
Do you want to set the scene for Sam? What can you see in Sam's little window there?
Sam's got a load of
Are they stirrups?
video games in the background. Stirrups. Some poor guy tied
Sex
up.
swing.
I guess it's a guy, actually. It could. I mean, who knows what gender is, actually.
it's a guy and he's not allowed to talk.
Good. All right. Well, I mean, I'm sure you guys loved hearing about all of that, but it's a bit of a novelty for us. Maybe I'll put a little screenshot on our Twitter of what we're seeing right now.
No, my hair looks terrible today. No screenshots.
Your hair has never looked terrible in your
Yeah.
life. You came out of the womb and the
man.
doctor must have just been like, oh my God. This
He was
is perfect.
fishing for a compliment. Definitely. Anyway, the last
so
podcast, episode of 126, was our review of the NXT Takeover 31. Sam, we missed you. Did you listen? Did you watch NXT Takeover?
I watched the main event.
Okay.
And
what main event?
yeah, it was decent main event. I think it dragged a little bit, but
That's what Brett thought.
overall fun, hard hitting. It's been interesting to see the fallout of that. Obviously, kind of Finn Balor with the broken jaw.
Yeah.
I saw
Nasty.
Jericho as well posting saying that kind of does it make sense to work and then basically break your jaw and be put out for a few months. Like if that kind of match really is a good idea.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was an accident, though, was it? It wasn't like they deliberately set out to, right, in this spot, we're going to break your jaw in two places. It's just,
They weren't
I mean,
being
that's what they
careless.
always say, but
It was a heavy hitting match though, so I guess the risk is there, isn't it?
And Jericho's going to take his opportunities, isn't he, to have a little dig
oh,
at
he always
WWE.
is. Yeah.
Good on him.
Did you watch his 30 years in wrestling anniversary show?
I did. I really enjoyed it.
I thought that match was fucking atrocious.
What a way to celebrate. Lovely. Okay. Well, that's, I guess, immediately dated the episode, but it doesn't matter. That's right. This is The Undertaking. Volume 5. And now I'm going to pass you over to a man who, shortly before recording, was cramming a creamless Eton mess into his gob. It's Sam.
I never knew it was called an Eton mess. I just thought it was meringue and raspberries, but there we go.
Would it be called, that's where you are. Would it be like a Reading something? I don't know.
A Reading berry surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, the surprise is there's no cream.
I mean, cream doesn't add a lot, does it?
Anyway, Sam's jacked up on sugar, so this is going to be excellent.
I'm jacked
Sam,
up on sugar. This is The
take it away.
Undertaking. This is Volume 5. What is The Undertaking? I hear you, dear listener, screaming from your cars and offices whilst listening to our podcast. And it is a retrospective review of the pay-per-view events that The Undertaking's participated in following his career from 1990 to 2020 and provides a snapshot of the wrestling landscape at the time. And so, previously on The Undertaking, Volume 4, we reviewed matches 8, 9 and 10 of his career. That was feuding with Kamala and entering the 1993 Royal Rumble, where he was brutally attacked by, well, keep listening. But if you'd like to catch up with our previous outing of The Undertaking, that's episode 119. So, you know,
It's been a while.
yeah, it has been a little bit of a break. But don't jump in on Volume 5 if you've not listened to Volume 4. It's kind of it's a continuous story.
It's the way things work, isn't it? Yeah. I'd listen to episode 1 first, then maybe follow that up with 2, chuck in 3, then 4, and then this one. Is that what we're
You
agreeing
are
on that?
a radical, Adam. But this is Volume 5, and this week we're looking at matches 11 and 12, starting with WrestleMania 9.
Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas, Nevada. Site of WrestleMania 9.
Match 11, WrestleMania 9 versus the Giant Gonzalez, or just Giant Gonzalez.
Yeah, good point.
GG.
Is it just... is it Giant Gonzalez or the Giant Gonzalez? I think this is important.
Just Giant, I think.
I think it is just Giant Gonzalez, but I quite like the Giant Gonzalez. It's a little bit more intimidating.
I think Giant's his first name.
Oh, okay. Apologies.
Obviously.
It's family name.
Ella Gigante.
Taking place at Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas.
It was great to see this because it reminded me of the amazing Caesar and Cleopatra section from the last pay-per-view that we watched, the Royal Rumble, when it was announcing where WrestleMania was going to be.
Oh, yes.
This is one of the worst WrestleManias, this one. It's awful, this WrestleMania.
I went back to Royal Rumble. They kept the same actor and actress.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is amazing long-term storytelling from WWF of 4 months. Which, yeah.
I kind of want to now take a break and find out where Caesar is now, if he's kept that job up. Okay, you carry on and I'll do a bit of Googling.
Okay, cool. So, for our purposes, Jorge Gonzalez, who is the star of the show today, his career starts in Argentina, playing basketball for his national side when he was spotted by NBA talent scouts.
Do NBA talent scouts just search for tallest man on the world?
Yeah.
Is that what scouting NBA is like?
Not a hard job.
Yeah. If they're playing basketball and they're 7 foot plus, then they are definitely scouting them.
Indeed. 7'7", although
That's bonkers, isn't it?
WWF would have you believe 8 foot.
Yeah, or 200 foot or whatever they were saying.
But yeah, he would be drafted to the Atlanta Hawks, becoming the first Argentine player to play in the NBA.
After this?
Before this.
Okay.
At least he would have, if I could find any
Nothing
record.
came after this.
If I could find any record of him playing for the Hawks.
Yeah, I tried to find his draft,
So did I.
his draft position, but they don't have that either. I was like, no. I did watch a wicked video with some awesome emotional music in the background of him playing for Argentina, though.
I watched that same video.
Yeah.
Was he good? Like a mobile? Like, I don't know what the positions are. Like box to box? What are we talking?
He was playing a centre.
Yeah, so he pretty much stayed in and around the paint, which is inside the key, and he basically got past the ball because no one could reach him, and he just rolled to the ring and dunked it. That was his move on repeat.
And if you want more hardest part of the hoops...
yeah, that's me on my own.
Yeah, that is
part of the hardest part
great.
family.
Guys, I can just tell you, I just did some research into Caesar. Unfortunately, I can't find out who Caesar is, but apparently one of the Centurions was actually a enhancement talent that made his bones in various promotions, notably AAA in Mexico, and his name was Louis Spicolli. I don't know if that was worth interrupting with, but let's crack on.
Really hoping you were going to... And his name was Triple H.
Yeah, or someone we've heard of.
I mean,
well,
we're sat here laughing now, and sure enough, next week, Adam, you're going to have to deal with the listener comments of, you guys don't know who Louis Spicolli is, only Jushin Thunder Liger. Not that
Oh my
hard.
god, is Louis Spicolli Jushin Thunder Liger?
Let's just spread that rumour now and nip that in the bud.
I'll Google that and you crack on.
Fantastic. So I couldn't find any record of Jorge Gonzalez playing for the Hawks. And due to the physical demands of the NBA, a dodgy knee, general mobility issues, essentially just being giant as his only qualification, he didn't really make it big in basketball. Luckily, those issues wouldn't cross over into wrestling, would they?
He's one of those guys, you see him, and because he's so tall, it just looks painful for him to move. Like, just the smallest movement seems horrifically painful.
Yeah. The thing is that when I was reading up on him and kind of looking into doing research, I do research sometimes. It said, first thing was, he suffers with gigantism. And that to me is like saying, like, Jeff Bezos suffers with being rich. It's just kind of...
it's tough being tall, Sam.
I just...
You can't go to a supermarket without being asked to get something from the top shelf for an old lady. And apparently if you just say no and elbow her in the face, then that's frowned upon.
What about
so
if you
have to reach
scream social distance in her face while you're doing it? Is that all right?
Yeah. Pull my mask down, scream it in her face.
Instantly thought you were getting porn magazines off the top shelf for an old lady there.
I'm not even tall, and I've had that same thing happen in the supermarket, so I had to climb the shelves to reach something.
Really? Well, they just know you're the natural basketball player.
Yeah, so I was just like climbing up because something was like right at the back of the top shelf, and I was like, well, I can't fucking reach that.
Luckily, you're hanging around in the paint by the hoop, and they know exactly what to do.
And I climbed on
by the
giant
key in the colour or whatever it was you said.
the paint.
That's it, the paint.
As fate would have it, the owner of the Atlanta Hawks at this time was none other than Ted Turner.
Oh, shit. That's how he got into wrestling.
All of a sudden, all of the pieces fall into place. The ever-shrewd businessman saw potential in the Giant Man, shocker, and offered him a job at WCW, where he would be trained, allegedly, and make his debut on WCW Capital Combat in 1990 as El Gigante.
That's a better name,
perfect.
I think. El Gigante is way
El
better.
Gigante is amazing.
Yeah, I like that.
Incidentally, this pay-per-view had Mean Mark Callis on it, aka
Wow.
The Undertaker, had Jim Ross on it, and it had RoboCop.
Oh, it came up in the quiz. I thought I recognised that
This
Capital
is
Combat.
the return of RoboCop, in fact.
This is great info.
And yeah, two of these people we'll be talking about shortly.
RoboCop.
And it's not RoboCop. 3 years would pass, and Gonzalez would leave WCW for pastures new, debuting at the Royal Rumble, which we spoke about on the last Undertaking, episode 119, just again. In a sort of naked Yeti bodysuit is how I would describe it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, how else would you describe
It's
it?
in sections, right? There's tights, there's pants, and there's a top.
Yeah.
What's
Definitely looked that
interesting
way.
is I think it changed slightly, didn't it, from the first match we're going to talk about to the second match.
Quite,
the first
quite
match,
a bit it changed.
In the second match, he kind of had some pants, and in the first match, it was as if he had like just some painted on pubes that were covering up his junk.
Yeah, because there was a long butt crack on the back.
Yeah,
Spotted that
But
straight
the
away, didn't
second
you, Brett?
match-
Yeah, there
it
was
was a bit
no
better.
covering his bum or his painted on bum.
No.
Oh, goodness
But
me.
I quite like it. I mean, I'm assuming you can probably buy a Giant Gonzalez outfit online. Let me look into it. You crack on, Sam.
I'm loving your new role on the podcast, Adam, as like active researcher as we go.
Okay. I'm on it.
El Gigante, or Giant Gonzalez as he would now be known in WWF, would debut in the Royal Rumble and would beat the ever-living shit out of The Undertaker. Really, really lay a beat down on him. Worse than anything he had taken to this date in WWF, which was a real... Considering how strongly The Undertaker had previously been booked, this was a really kind of... They had strapped a rocket to the big man. And yeah, they would set up for a match at WrestleMania to settle their differences.
Can't find any costumes that you can buy.
Really, there's a gap in the market, Adam.
Yeah. There's some homemade ones.
Oh, God.
But
I feel that that's going to be made out of human skin. You probably know what I'm saying.
I wouldn't buy a homemade Giant Gonzalez costume.
no,
You could put
I'll
that
just
on
have
a
to
t-shirt.
try and get that physique myself and grow some loads of hair on my shoulders.
And for as long as that introduction was, we're not actually done yet, because, of course, this wasn't any old pay-per-view. This was the showcase of the Immortals taking place at Caesar's Palace, and we desperately want to discuss it. Don't we?
Oh, yeah. A match.
John.
Hello.
So we had a text in the week saying, can everyone please make sure we watch the opening 10 minutes
Yeah,
of
'cause
WrestleMania?
when we started watching this, I watched the whole of WrestleMania 9, by the way, in the
you went
background
for it.
whilst I was
Wow.
working on Monday. Awful,
nice.
awful WrestleMania. But the highlight for me was Bobby Heenan. He was on comms, which is a delight, along with Macho Man and JR. It's JR's first WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fresh in the company. But Bobby Heenan, everyone comes out, like, Macho Man's brought out, like, Hedonist and Bot in Futurama on, like, carried by some buff men. And then Bobby Heenan comes out on a camel, but he's facing the wrong way. And he's, like, faffing around, screaming. And then as they get to the ring, the sort of camel sort of drops and Bobby Heenan falls off. His pants are on show. It is so funny. It is brilliant. There must be a clip of it on YouTube. I recommend going and check it out because Bobby Heenan is a genius.
Honestly, like, I can't say enough good things about Bobby Heenan. Like, the way he plays up the kind of annoyed, upset commentator, especially during this, just absolutely incredible stuff. And yeah, some lovely blue Y fronts. I believe.
Yeah.
Very blue.
He's just not afraid to embarrass himself, is he? Because he comes across as a complete dork, but it's really funny, and he just really gets into the role.
He's so good in that role as well. It's just excellent stuff. How did we feel about JR on comms? Early days for him. Well, early days in WWF for him.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think it's difficult for him because obviously he came from WCW where they sort of a bit more sort of traditional calling, you know, like proper wrestling moves, that sort of stuff, whereas WWF is a bit more fanciful and crazy. So I think it takes him a while to get into things, but it was good.
I think it killed me a little bit because, like, obviously Gorilla Monsoon was there as a kind of correspondent, and it's kind of like when you got Gorilla and Bobby Heenan, who I think still to this day I would say are the best commentary duo in the business.
Gorilla was in the gorilla position.
Ah, right,
So there you
yeah,
go.
of course.
This WrestleMania had a lot of people I never want to see wearing togas.
Oh, come on. As JR had some great legs that he showed off.
Oh, God, there's a lot of short togas out. Even the cameramen were wearing togas.
I was going to say, so I was actually super happy about this, is the fact that he did go all in. So WrestleMania 9 was billed as the biggest toga party in the world, and they really lent into it. All the security staff, all the cameramen, all in togas.
The venue was great as well. I really liked how it looked, like really quite steep sides. So, yeah, or it felt like an auditorium. It felt like something you get
a Coliseum.
in those early. Yeah, exactly.
It made me really kind of wish that they did more themed pay-per-views, and then I realised that this year's WrestleMania would have been pirate themed.
Yeah,
But would it really have been pirate themed?
Probably not. It ended up being Corona themed. Yeah.
Oh dear. In fact, I logged on to the network to watch these matches, and randomly ended up clicking on WrestleMania Night 1 from this year and saw some of the matches that were on there, like Baron Corbin versus Elias. Oh God, that was
He's back
really
now,
poor.
though. Elias is back.
Yeah.
Oh dear, they really they just got everybody on that card, didn't they? Anyway, I think we've talked around this match beautifully for so long. We've done 20 minutes without even getting to the match.
Well, let's talk about the match.
Yes.
Undertaker. Actually, we'll do Giant Gonzalez entrance first. He comes in.
He is fucking massive.
So
Yeah.
big, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like,
A true spectacle.
Yeah.
This is what I really did enjoy about this match, was just like watching it and thinking, he's fucking massive. Like, just constantly. If I was there, I would have just been in awe at his size throughout the whole match.
Absolutely.
towers above the Undertaker. Like, he's so much taller than him.
Yeah.
He was also too high for the frame. Like, quite often they'd be focused on a normal shot of the ring, and Giant Gonzalez's head would be like clipped off because they're not used to having to film that high.
It's incredible. It's important to point out as well that he was accompanied by his manager, Harvey Whippleman, who technically Taker was actually feuding with him more than Gonzalez. So Whippleman kind of had previously featured in the Undertaker's kind of storyline, having been the manager for Kamala. And
Oh, of course, yeah.
it was kind of from what I've read into it, it seems to me like kind of Whippleman was going to be managing Sid Vicious or Sid Justice or whatever we're calling him, Psycho Sid, and that was going to happen before Sid basically up and left, which is kind of where the Kamala feud and now sort of this feud categorically had also come from. So yeah, it's fascinating to see a wrestler kind of feud with a manager, and that manager kind of like bringing his stable of villains.
I really love the name Whippleman as well. I'm so satisfied about that name. Even just seeing it written down, it looks lovely. It sounds great to say it. Whippleman.
You know, I was thinking like that would be a really good name for the dessert I was eating just before we started recording.
The Reading Whippleman.
The Reading Whippleman.
The Reading Whippleman.
Yeah, but with no cream. So what's
Sans
whipped?
cream.
I whip the meringue into like a fine dust. We're getting too hung up on the Whippleman here.
We are. The match.
Gonzalez and Whippleman enter, and then the Undertaker makes his entrance.
A rather eerie moment as Paul Bear leads. Look at the vulture. Look at the vulture. The funeral chariot, the vulture there.
You know what's amazing about The Undertaker? A man that surrounds himself with all darkness sheds so much light in people all over the world.
He's not moving. Yeah, he's very stoic.
Is he on like a platform? I watched this 30 minutes ago, and now I'm second guessing my thing. But like I say awesome. It's not totally awesome for the vulture that it's being used as a prop, but it did look cool as fuck.
I'm sure the vulture was having a lovely day out.
Well, the vulture lost its shit at one point, didn't it? The camera had to cut away.
I saw a cameraman freak out.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a vulture be like tamed or used, as a move, like they do with pets in movies and stuff. Like,
it's an
can
odd
you
one.
train a vulture?
Yeah, with enough electric shock.
Whenever I'm the first time we did an Undertaking, and I was getting the clips to use on this on the episode. The first Undertaking entrance, obviously you get that iconic music, and I got a clip. I was like, this is amazing, it's going to be so good to use. And then of course we did another match and it's the same music, and then we do another match, and I was like, I'm going to have to mix up these clips. But the commentary is always so great.
Yeah.
Like, they're always, whenever they're talking about him being a dead man, and he looks like he's been resting in peace, or whatever it might be. I mean, we'll get to the second match in a bit, and Vince doesn't do quite a good a job as the guys did on the first match. But I love the comms in this first match. Having Macho Man involved is just so fun.
They always do such a good job.
I'm not a fan of Macho Man on comms, and I love Macho Man.
Well, I mean, he's not very good, but that's why it's kind of fun to listen to.
What he lacks in kind of making any kind of sense whatsoever, he makes up for in energy and probable
He
cocaine.
definitely has a lot of
And
that.
having a very iconic voice.
Yeah,
Indeed.
yeah.
There were in fact a lot of animals on this WrestleMania. They started out with like an elephant which did like a wheelie, which was crazy.
Just stood up on its hind legs.
Well, we laugh, but we all know what he means. I think that's fine. I think wheelies,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a quicker way of saying stood up on his hind legs. I like it.
No, I think that's more confusing. Like, everyone has to think, well, what's hind leg? Is that front or back? Wheelie, everyone knows what a wheelie is.
Exactly.
No thinking involved with Sam. I like it.
But yes,
What happened in the match, Sam? Come on, tell us.
Taker enters with a vulture. I'm sorry, I am stalling around the content of the match because, as everyone perhaps already knows or is expecting us to say, the Undertaker matches with Giant Gonzalez are not best remembered for their high-level wrestling content.
No.
And so the bell goes, and Adam, what happens?
Oh well, we have some chops, and we have some chokes, and I think there's a bit where, I mean, the difficult thing here again is we've got two matches which are pretty similar. As if the direction was exactly the same at points, but bits where I think Giant Gonzalez was choking him, and Undertaker gets up onto the top rope and chokes him back. And there's a lot of, basically Undertaker trying to get him down, and eventually getting him down to one knee and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I thought Giant Gonzalez's selling was it's such a weird. It must be really tough to be a massive guy and to try and sell a little bit and look as if, oh, maybe I'm going to go down. But it looked awful.
Yeah.
Perhaps one of the biggest problems Giant Gonzalez had was constantly smiling.
He's got such a kind face as well. Like you look at his
Yeah.
face, you're like, oh,
He was happy
nice.
to be there.
He looked like a competition winner.
I actually thought at times in this he was quite mobile, and it was
Whoa,
weird
what?
because he would walk really slowly around the ring, but then suddenly like he'd move like against the ropes or something quite quickly. But then suddenly, it was whenever he was moving around, like rather than doing a move. But I say doing a move, it was mainly a club across the back, wasn't it? Like that.
Yeah.
That was the move. So, but I have to say, like, for someone who likes the wrestling, this was short. I wasn't expecting anything from this, and I was enjoying it. Probably, like I said at the beginning, I was just in awe of Giant Gonzalez.
Yeah.
I love this too.
The one thing that really bummed me out was like when Taker did get him down with the clotheslines, like he didn't bump at all. He just sort of like rolled back, and I was just like, imagine if a dude that big could do a proper bump. That would look immense, but he couldn't.
No, he could barely. Like there was a bit. I don't know if it was this match or next, where he choke slammed like a ref. It must be the next match.
Oh no, he
There were a couple of choke slams. There was one in this match and one in the next.
Even when he choke slams someone, he looks awful. Like he goes down to one knee. It looks like it's a awful procedure.
Yeah. Yes, this match. So, as kind of Adam basically described, there's a bunch of chops, some chokes, some rest holds. The Undertaker gets thrown into the stairs.
That bump looks great.
Looked good. That
looked really cool. Like he really went into those stairs. In fact, I thought
100%.
Undertaker in this match was amazing. Like he was flying around all over.
Good
the place.
selling.
Yeah, he did all the work for the Giant because he needed to.
Yeah, it's quite interesting
He
in
did
that
it.
regard because the previous matches we've seen, like Undertaker's kind of the rookie, right? He's still learning the trade.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, he's taking the lead. It's like his match.
That's exactly it. Like kind of in interviews since this event, obviously, kind of Undertaker's talked about it quite a lot, and he says that kind of whilst the matches he has literally said has taken years off his career, which kind of perhaps makes sense. He does also say that kind of his focus was very much on his character work and sort of making sure that he sold the gimmick, and you can really see it in these matches here. I think kind of looking back retrospectively at the Undertaker's career, these are the matches that kind of define what the Undertaker was as kind of this scary Deadman character, which is, for as bad as the matches are, this is an amazing kind of piece of history to watch.
Well, this was certainly playing into the whole, like, reaching for the urn and Paul Bearer rising the Undertaker with the urn. It sort of definitely was front and centre in those aspects in these matches, which I loved as a kid watching.
And so Taker returns to the ring. He does his sit-up routine. Whippleman gets up on the apron and he throws Giant Gonzalez a white rag.
The 8-foot Giant is down to one knee for the first time in this contest. But Whippleman has thrown him something. And
Now Harvey Whippleman's the biggest guy in the ring.
Gonzalez headbutts Paul Bearer into oblivion. The Undertaker throws Whippleman down outside, and
The Giant's got something.
he's got a cloth that's
Smothering the Undertaker.
He's smothering the Undertaker.
What's that smell? What is that smell?
That's chloroform. What do they call that?
Chloroform. It's chloroform.
Everybody, it's
Oh, you
get
can
up
just, what a stench. And
You can smell it out here. This isn't smell-o-vision, but I'm going to tell you it smells.
the Giant Gonzalez has some sort of claw, and referees call it for a foul here.
Everybody can smell it.
Oh, and the Undertaker's
There's no
going down.
secret here.
Has he given up? What is going
I'm
on?
going to tell you something. That you can kill a guy with that.
And boy, this is a tense
Hey,
situation
look
here.
at- Everybody
What's
can
going
smell
on?
it. We can all smell it.
Wow. Well, it's over. It is over for the Undertaker. R.I.P., pal. Rest in
I
peace.
think we got a problem here.
Oh, yeah.
That was so good. So good. Chloroform? What is it? I mean, that wasn't a good impression, but
Yeah, Macho Man, not best known for his pronunciation on many things.
I like that. I liked that. it was exciting. I think the crowd were into it. Everybody was getting involved. You had Paul Bearer there, you know, getting headbutted, and I kind of liked the way it ended, and I don't think it would have been expected for the crowd.
It was weird. Like I went with it, and like you say, you know, the crowd were into it. It was great, but like he's a giant, and he needs chloroform to like subdue the Undertaker, which also, you know, I guess it makes the Undertaker look awesome because he keeps getting back up. But I was just like, this just seems weird.
Well, that
like,
was
why is a guy like who can't even have clothes? You know, he's like the only bits he's got covering is supposedly his own bodily hair, and he's got chloroform.
It's true. When you think about it as a newspaper headline, 8-foot naked man chloroform zombie.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, that sounds like something Vince would book, and
yeah.
The ref took an absolute age to DQ it as well. Like it took like 5 minutes. It felt like before he decided to DQ it.
Gonzalez essentially mandible claws chloroform into the Undertaker's face, and the ref kind of sees it, makes a decision of, you know what, I'll allow it. This continues for about 25 seconds before the ref then goes, all right, that's probably actually a bit too far, and then disqualifies him.
Yeah, I'm okay with a light chloroform in, but this is too much.
Yeah, I just thought he was trying to blow his nose or something with that big white towel. I just wasn't sure. Just giving him a little rub.
I want to say that if there's one thing we can bring back to wrestling that I'm really on board with, it's the chloroform rag.
You've always been a fan of that, haven't you?
All right.
It's different
Wow.
reasons.
Turning the camera off again.
It's quite interesting seeing the Taker being taken out on a stretcher. Like, I feel like I've never seen him being carried out on a stretcher before.
So, Undertaker was absolutely sparko. A huge amount of referees come into the ring, one of which gets sort of chokeslammed by Gonzalez.
Terribly done.
That bit though, I sort of thought was cool because there was a ref that basically got ragdolled, didn't he? Like he held on to his and he like moved him around like that. Looked pretty awesome.
That was impressive from the ref.
The ref
core strength.
Yeah, amazing core strength.
The crowd kind of really hyped up in the moment, start chanting for Hogan.
Yeah,
great.
90s crowds, eh? And then the bell goes. Not the bell. The bell. Do you know what the bell tolls?
Exactly,
indicating the return of the Deadman. Who
I mean, that was pretty instant, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought these days they would have let him appear that he'd gone for a lot longer, because basically he went behind the curtain and then he just is as if he like jumped straight off and came back in.
Yeah,
I did find it thrilling though when that bell, the dong went. Like, I was like, shit.
When the
love a dong.
When the dong went.
So the Undertaker comes back, beats the ever-living crap out of Gonzalez, or it's kind of he saw Gonzalez off, and he keeps the streak alive
with a DQ though, isn't it weird?
He does the 3 clotheslines, doesn't he?
That's right.
And it was great because he sort of did the 2 that didn't have too much of effect, but then the last one was his classic, iconic leaping clothesline, which looked brilliant against the likes of Gonzalez, who again didn't do a great job, like Brett said, of sort of bumping for it or falling for it. It's like he just slowly gets down to the ground and lies down. But yeah, really cool ending.
Yeah,
it's funny this because I think the way we're talking about it, I think we all really enjoyed it, but it is universally seen as like a shit match. And looking at the grapple ratings, I think this one had an average of 1.75, and we'll get to our ratings in a minute. But I imagine they'll be a bit higher.
No, in fact, that's exactly where we're heading to next.
Oh, before we do ratings, can I just do one last Heenan quote?
Yeah.
So JR says during the Gonzalez match, I haven't seen anything like this during my entire career. And Heenan says, yeah, but your career is only about 3 hours. So
great stuff.
Oh.
Burn. Good old Heenan.
For those who are new to The Undertaking, who just jumped onto Volume 5 without listening to the previous volume, why?
Mad.
But welcome. Thank you for downloading and listening, especially
it's the Giant Gonzalez fans.
Yeah. We score the Undertaker's match, and we score kind of the Undertaker's performance himself. And so, Adam, do you want to start with how you would score this?
Yes, I would score this as follows, and I'm just going to go with what I wrote down. I'm not going to be influenced. I gave the match a 2.5. and I gave Taker a 2.
That's quite generous to the match, but I think kind of...
There's lots of drama in there. I enjoyed it.
This is the thing. It does tell a really good story, doesn't it? Even if the wrestling quality isn't there.
Yeah, I think they book it really well by not having too much of a match, but having the sort of drama of the sort of run-ins and stuff. It's done well.
Brett, how would you go with this?
I'm going higher for this match.
What?
I'm going because it was a spectacle. It was short and sweet, and it was fully entertaining story-wise. I'm going 3 for the match, and I'm going 3 for Taker.
This is the only podcast, the only wrestling podcast where you can hear people talk highly of Giant Gonzalez and his matches. So yeah, for the whole world who hates wrestling and wants to rebook everything, you got us, and we love giant men in Yeti bodysuits.
We love. Oh man, I love his suit. It's iconic. I don't know. This is full on nostalgia.
It really is. I'm going to go next, and I was actually going to say I think the match itself 2.25 for me. Kind of like I think the story is really there, and it does exactly what it needs to do. Of course, you're never going to get like a 5-star wrestling match out of these guys, but you don't always need that. Undertaker's performance, I actually would go for a 3. I think kind of the way he carries himself and also kind of carries Giant Gonzalez is, these are the matches that made The Undertaker for me. John,
Nice.
What do you think? Bring us back down to earth.
I'm going 3 for the match, and I'm going 4 for Taker. I thought,
I'm really worried. I'm very worried that our Undertaker's scoring scheme...
I was worried about me first, but John's just got in there and smashed this.
Oh no. So, yeah.
This isn't even the best match we've had in The Undertaking yet for The Taker, is
well,
it?
the scores may say
The
otherwise.
Taker.
What is the score?
So the match gets an average of 2.69, and Taker gets an average of 3.
So this is not the best match The Undertaker has been in so far. However,
No shit.
it is our highest rating for him, joint with his first match with Kamala, which we also really enjoyed.
Yeah,
It's so funny to think that. Yeah.
This is the beauty.
It's the relief, isn't it? It's sort of like, it's because we're going back and we're watching this old stuff, and we're all jaded from watching these sort of average to good pay-per-views with full of fucking dickheads. And it's just refreshing to watch this stuff, and I think we're getting overexcited.
There were a fair few dickheads on this pay-per-view.
Well, yeah, that's true. But a lot of them are dead.
And that makes it okay.
Yeah.
And so, with that, we draw to a close on The Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez at WrestleMania 9, and we move on to my favourite part of the show, The Undertaker Fact.
You want to hear an interesting
Undertaker fact.
Right, guys. Fact time. The Undertaker was born on March the 24th, 1965, which means that at the time of recording, The Undertaker is exactly 55 years, 6 months, 20 days, 19 hours, and 4 minutes old. Ooh. I can tell you that he was born on a Wednesday, and his next birthday is on a Wednesday. I can also tell you that he has spent 18 years resting in peace, sleeping, if he's an average human, which I guess he isn't. And finally, he shares his birthday with escape artist Harry Houdini, clothes designer Tommy Hilfiger, wrestlers Lacey Evans and Jake Hager, extremely old baker Mary Berry, and Spurs wanker Mega Gammon Alan Sugar.
Oh, God.
Just quickly, when you say he shares his birthday with them, they are not all born on the same year, are they? Lacey Evans is not the same age as The Undertaker that we
Harry Houdini is not 55.
Okay, cool. Just making sure.
And Mary Berry's about 100.
I was watching a video about Houdini the other day. He died from getting punched in the gut.
I did know that.
I don't think anyone knows. I think it's like there's loads of rumours about how he died, though, isn't it? Like there's one about like he got HIV or something like that, and one that he did something else.
He got punched in the gut, but it used to be his party trick that he'd allow people to punch him in the gut, but somebody punched him in the gut when he wasn't prepared for it. like walked up to him and just did it, because obviously he'd usually brace himself. That's what I heard. That David Blaine told that story on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, that's what I heard on a
Must be
YouTube
true.
video I was watching. And so that was your Harry Houdini fact.
And that was the other. Well, I went simple. At some point, we're going to have to do some facts to do with his birthday. So it was just
Fair, you
I
got
liked
them all
it.
out of the
Get it
way.
in there.
It was good, actually. You were very excited before the podcast for that, and I enjoyed that, Adam. Thank you.
He was born on a Wednesday. His next birthday's on a Wednesday. What are the chances?
1 in 7.
You want to hear an interesting
Fact.
Match 12. We move on. Once again versus Giant Gonzalez at SummerSlam 93 in an RIP match at Auburn Hills, Michigan. An RIP
What's
match.
an RIP match?
What is an RIP match? Well, man on the ground, Adam Richardson of the recording background, is not a sentence we need to put into the podcast.
What? We keep that in. What Sam is trying to tell you, everybody, is that I recorded a clip of the guy telling us what the rules are, and here it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest, scheduled for one fall, is the Rest in Peace match.
Now this is going to be interesting.
The rules are simple. There will be no disqualification.
Oh no.
There will be no countout.
Oh no.
But there will be a decisive winner.
There you go. Those are the rules. Recorded by me, Adam Richardson, recording guy on the ground.
The story of SummerSlam 93 would see the culmination of Taker's feud with Gonzalez, and consequently the kind of culmination of his feud with Harvey Whippleman, which had at this point spanned a year and a half. So Whippleman, he had one final plan to defeat the Deadman, and that was to steal the source of his power, the urn. And so, in June 93, and you remember, SummerSlam takes place in August, so this is long-term plan from Whippleman. In June 93, with the help of Mr. Hughes, who was also being managed by Harvey at the time, Gonzalez and Whippleman took out the Undertaker and Paul Bearer, stole the urn, and beat the ever-living crap out of them with the urn, put Paul Bearer out of commission. And so, with the odds stacked against him, the Undertaker would be on his own, going into SummerSlam without his urn against Harvey Whippleman and Giant Gonzalez for their final match.
Oh, good. I'm pleased. I knew that you'd fill us in, Sam, but I was watching this, and obviously they came in with the urn. Whippleman had it. I was like, I need to know. I need to know why this happened.
It was the hardest thing to find the clip of this happening because it wasn't on the WWE network.
Oh, did it not happen during an episode of Raw?
No, because I actually ended up watching all of the Go Home Raws around these events, and it wasn't on there. It turned out it happened on an episode of Superstars, the Go Home one for King of the Ring.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
But of course, Undertaker and Gonzalez weren't actually in King of the Ring. So this kind of really expanded out to Harvey Whippleman's plans and kind of him working with Mr. Hughes, who had taken the urn. But so...
Tell you what, Whippleman loves rubbish big guys that can't move or wrestle, doesn't he?
I think that's harsh on Kamala. But yes, so no Paul Bearer.
No, that was a big shock when Taker came out. No Paul Bearer. I was like,
Indeed.
this isn't the end of Paul Bearer, is it? I'm not ready for this yet.
No.
We will have that, won't we? And there's
yeah.
some funny stuff happens when Paul Bearer comes to his end, which we'll get to talk about in about 5 years when we get to that.
But yes, so the match begins, and we're just going to copy and paste the part of the podcast from earlier.
I did want to reference I sort of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but Vince, early days, his commentary, there were bits in this that I enjoyed because I love it when he gets overexcited and he shouts. But when The Undertaker is coming into the ring, I said I usually love those clips. But Vince, all he said was, "The man in black." And then he said, giving new meaning to the word awesome. So that is pretty tame.
It's not great.
When we've been dealing with the likes of Heenan, you need to bring a better game than that.
He does bring it back at the end of the match, which we'll get to though.
True.
But yeah, the match begins. There is unsurprisingly a large amount of chops and a few sit-ups from the Undertaker.
As in sitting up from being beaten down, not just doing some sit-ups.
Yeah, that is correct.
Doing his workout mid-match. this match isn't doing anything
just a quick
for
five.
me.
Just
do a few crunches.
Yeah.
Gonzalez even throws Taker out the ring in exactly the same spot, the ring, and then goes and throws him into the ring steps in exactly the same way.
Yeah.
He does. He then does bring a chair into the equation and beat the crap out of Taker with that.
Yeah, that was new.
Puts Taker back in the ring. And then we actually had the rarest thing from all of WWF you can possibly imagine, which is actual good fucking camera work.
Yes, with the urn.
Yeah, so they put the camera in the corner of the ring by the turnbuckle where the urn is there, and the shot just has the Undertaker reaching out for it to try and rejuvenate himself, but not being in range of it, and it's just... Yeah.
And Whippleman's hands
so
grab the urn, don't they?
Yeah.
To say, I
And
can
he
take this away
snatches
at
it
any
away.
minute, and you see his fingers.
so refreshing. Just excellent work from WWF here, which I feel is a sentence I don't get to say enough in recent times. But honestly, like, you're not, again, like Giant Gonzalez, you're not going to get the most amazing technical matchup out of this. But from a storytelling perspective, the story of this match is all about the urn. It's all about basically the Undertaker trying to repower himself with that urn and Harvey Whippleman keeping it away from him, which leads us to probably the moment of the night. John, what happens?
Well, Taker's getting beaten down, then all of a sudden there's a dong. No, not that one.
Yeah.
And Paul Bearer
Yes.
pops out to a huge pop. Like, there's a massive pop for Paul Bearer, which is bizarre.
I never thought I would hear Paul Bearer get a massive pop, but yeah.
He comes out with some flowers, comes down. He clotheslines Whippleman, doesn't he? Like, he...
Proper good clotheslines. Okada-esque.
So good, that whole section.
Gonzalez in a lunge, but to no avail. What's that? What? The music kicked out. I don't know. What's that? Oh my God. On their feet. Who is it? It's Paul Bearer. No, it's who? Paul Bearer lives. Paul Bearer's alive. He's alive. Is it? Yes, it's Paul Bearer. That's who it is. With a black wreath. Paul Bearer's bringing a black wreath to ringside. Paul Bearer is back. He's back from the dark side. The Grim Reaper himself walks. He's alive. I thought we'd never see him again.
Yeah, so he grabs the urn, powers up the Undertaker. The Undertaker rallies and then does a series of clotheslines to Gonzalez and finally gets him onto his knee, right? And then he goes to the top rope and does a big move. 1, 2, 3, time to go home.
Yeah, flying clothesline
Exactly
from the
that.
top.
He finishes Gonzalez off with his famous finisher, the top rope clothesline.
It did look cool, though.
Yeah, this one
Yeah.
looked better. The bump looked better than the lack of bump.
I think at this point,
In the
because
first
Gonzalez was just like to lie down. Like, I'll lie down. Again. This is it.
that was more exhaustion than effort, yeah.
And this is where you get some good Vince, don't you, on this bit?
So-
You've got a clip of the ending.
He's going down. He's not down. Wait a minute. The Undertaker's going up. But he's not down. The Undertaker is going up to the top rope. But Gonzalez is getting up. Giant Gonzalez spinning into the Undertaker. A cause for line from the top. They're both down. 1, 2, yeah. No. It's all because of Paul Bearer and the urn. This is not right.
And so Vince calls the end of the match. The Undertaker has won, defeating his nemesis, Giant Gonzalez, and finally putting to rest the Harvey Whippleman problem. Vince McMahon refers to the Undertaker as the Phenom for what I think is the first time.
Ooh.
Don't quote me on that because he may have done it on Raw a bunch, but as anyone who listens to this podcast know, we don't watch Raw.
That's going to be the takeaway clip that I use and put on a little video on social media.
Lovely.
And we're going to get loads of responses and people saying, no, that's not right. Idiots.
And of course, The Undertaker makes his exit, and for Harvey Whippum and Giant Gonzalez, the honeymoon's over.
Yeah.
And Gonzalez, a bit mad that Whippleman gave away the urn and messed up the plan, turns on Harvey Whippleman and leaves him in a heap in the middle of the ring before riding off into the sunset to have the most successful career of any wrestler that's been through the doors of WWF.
Wonderful. So there you go.
And so we're going to go to ratings once again. We'll do it in the same order as well. Adam, what do you think of this?
I enjoyed it. It was pretty similar. So my ratings are pretty similar, although the match I'm giving a 2 instead of a 2.5. And Taker I'm giving a 2 again. It could be easy to get carried away and give this high score, maybe even throw out a 4 or something
That's
ridiculous.
a dig at me. That is instant shade.
But it very much is a dig at you. And it's such early days in this series that I want to leave some room. Because otherwise, basically, John is setting himself up to be Meltzer and to give some a match a 6 at some point. Or a 7. Which I'd love to see, to be honest.
Who knows?
Yeah. Brett, what do you think?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going same again. I'm going 3 across the board. 3 for the match, 3 for that. Like, yes, it was like in the ring, it was the same match, but outside of the ring with the pallbearer running, the whole urn business, you know, just I really enjoyed all that. So again, storytelling picked it up for me.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you here. I think kind of the storytelling in these series of matches, and more or less kind of the Undertaker's feud with Harvey Whippleman and his series of wrestlers, has been kind of key. Like the wrestling, it was fine. It wasn't amazing, but the story was always constant and it actually made sense. And this was a great conclusion to all of that. So I think from my side of things, I would say, yeah, I'd give the match a 2.25 again. And I once again probably give The Undertaker a 2. John,
So
how many stars?
I will give the match 3 again, but I'll give Taker 3 this time. Down a little bit.
Nice.
He's been bullied. Bullied into changing his score.
It's a scary time when Adam starts bullying you over scores. I've been there, John. We can start a support group.
I'm the one who's usually easily swayed.
Soon Adam's going to talk to all of his celebrity friends and they're all going to bully you as well. It's hard.
Oh dear, what can I say?
So, to say this would be the start of a long and illustrious career for the Giant Gonzalez would be disingenuous at best. He would make one more appearance in WWF on October 4th in a Battle Royale, where he was eliminated first.
Oh,
yeah, they
terrible.
Kind of just everyone teams up on him. Yeah, and following this, he would make 3 appearances for New Japan.
I mean, I've got to see that. I've got to find clips of that.
Yeah,
Giant Gonzalez in New Japan.
Somewhere.
So it was in '94, and it was in the G1 Climax. I don't think it was part of the actual tournament itself.
Oh, you'd hope not, but yeah.
But he did.
How many matches do you need to win to get to the final of that?
Oh, sound like 7.
Okay.
But he did team up with Jushin Thunder Liger at one point, which kind of, you know, if you're a wrestler, that is surely part of the top of your game.
Yeah.
Talking New Japan, if only he'd sort of gone there first, because I was thinking, because of his look and he's the Giant Gonzalez, it would have been great if he did Tenzan's Mongolian chops.
Oh, that would have been amazing, yeah.
Like, that would have been amazing. That would have looked great from, like, his look and his size, and he could have achieved that move.
Yeah.
Shame.
The man just, he was not, unfortunately, cut out for wrestling. Like, despite having the look, it kind of, you know, he didn't really understand the business, and it kind of, he didn't really have the mobility or ability to make it work there. He would have one final appearance in 1995 at Genichiro Tenryu's Wrestling Romance promotion before he would finally retire due to health issues. It's important to point out here as well that, according to Jim Ross, Giant Gonzalez would spend all of the money he made feeding his family and looking after them. And even after his wrestling career petered out, he was being sent money straight from Harvey Whippleman's own pocket so that Jorge Gonzalez and his family could actually eat.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, which is an amazing story, really. Some lovely charity there.
What, so they were really poor?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was going to say, like, most of us get paid and then we buy food.
I mean, that's...
Is that amazing?
Yeah, it's hard to say whether it was kind of like maybe he spent the money poorly and kind of this happened, or it could also be the weird politics of the early 90s where, you know, WWF didn't seem to pay a lot of their lower performers very well. It's a story we heard last time with Kamala as well, really. It's kind of a bit sad. Eventually, Gonzalez would go on to basically live on a farm in Argentina, and he was wheelchair bound with kind of like dialysis machines, and eventually would pass away on September 22nd, 2010 from complications with diabetes. So yeah, a real sad story indeed for the man.
44.
Yeah. Never really took to wrestling, but yeah, at the very least, he'll be remembered as giving The Undertaker one of his most infamous feuds, or, in John's opinion, one of the best matches Undertaker's ever going to have.
Of all time.
What have we seen so far?
Well, at the end of the day, here we are, 30 years on, making a podcast where we're still talking about, you know, Giant Gonzalez and the match with The Undertaker, and that's something that's really cool.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Here's to you, Gigi.
I can't believe he was in WWF for such a short period.
I know. It's amazing.
Yeah. Just quickly, guys, we forgot to do the averages for the last match.
Oh, and I did such a good job with that last.
Such a good roundup. Oh, come on, John. What were the averages?
So the match got an average of 2.5.
Yeah, that's in your column.
And Taker also got 2.5.
Nice.
So yeah, pretty middle of the road overall. For The Undertaker, a new feud would be on the cards. Something bigger, something better, something as culturally sensitive as you'd expect from early 90s wrestling.
Oh.
But that's a story for another Undertaking.
Ooh.
Oh, and a double stomp to the hardest part of the ring. Goodness.
Beautiful work, Sam, as always. What a joy that is to do the Undertaking episodes. I love that. And I hope the listeners did as well. But yeah, thanks for all that research. And a true education, I feel like we're getting. I don't know how much of it's accurate, but...
It's hard to start the ring, so...
Exactly.
Single digits as a percentile.
I bet you're all absolutely gagging for more Undertaking action, but we can tell you that I think maybe we'll do Undertaking in what did we agree? Something like 3 weeks?
We've got another one like coming up soon.
Yeah. Next week, we think we're going to do a top 5. That's all up for debate, so keep an eye on our social media that Brett will tell you about in a second. Week after that, TLC?
Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell. I always get those ones mixed up for some reason.
Yeah, Tender Loving Care, not till the end of the year.
Yes. Anyway, Brett, do it.
Do it. So if people want to get in touch, they can send their emails to hardestpartofthering@gmail.com, or they can catch us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. We are at hardestpartpod.
Wonderful. Okay, well, thanks very much, Sam, once again, and we'll see you next week.
I'm going to go pop for Paul Bearer.
Yes, thank you so much to you, John, for that wonderful... The integrity in your scoring really stood out for me. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Except for you, Adam. Screw you.
Oh. And thanks again to you, Brett, and I'll see you next week.
Yeah, cheers.
Oh, is that Harry?
Oh, Harry's made an appearance.
Yeah,
Harry,
you'll
say
notice
goodbye.
Harry's actually been making an appearance for the last 20 minutes.
Oh, listeners. I reckon there are probably some keen-eared listeners who spot those little Harry sounds. Harry is actually Brett's younger brother. But thank you very much for listening, and we will see you on the next episode of Hardest Part of the Ring, because this was the hardest part of the ring.
That is the hardest